Hey YouTube, I hope everyone has had a great week. Hopefully I will come up with a better intro than Hey YouTube, but yeah, we'll get there. So my first two videos that I posted were pretty planned out, somewhat scripted, just because I really wanted to stay on topic. My first video, of course, was an intro to my channel. Second video was about taking unhealthy coping mechanisms and trying to eliminate them and replace them with healthier coping mechanisms. This video, though, I want to be a little bit more raw and open and try as best as I can to explain my experience with anxiety. And I want to be clear, it is just my experience with anxiety. Everyone has different experiences. So if you can relate to this, wonderful. If you're watching this and say, well, you know what, that's not my experience, that's fine too. You're entitled to your own experience with anxiety, but this is just my experience with anxiety. So I can't really pinpoint a part in my life where it started because looking back, I think that I exhibited anxiety-like tendencies even as a child, specifically separation anxiety from my parents, for example. And I know that's pretty common with younger kids, but this was happening like when I was, 7, 8, 9. I was still having that separation anxiety. I don't really think that there was really a name for it at that point. I mean, I certainly as a kid didn't recognize what was going on. I don't think my parents really understood what was going on either. It wasn't really talked about. Mental health in general, it just wasn't discussed in depth, especially in relation to a child. As I got older and got into my teen years, I definitely noticed that anxiety was getting worse. I actually started having panic attacks, hyperventilating, dizzy, times when I would almost black out. And I didn't know at first what was going on. I just knew that I was having these experiences, which were really uncomfortable and really scary. And I went to a doctor and they diagnosed me with panic. They put me on, I want to say that they put me on Zoloft, but don't quote me on that. I tried that. I don't think it did anything. Now, here's my kind of take on anxiety if you actually suffer from an anxiety disorder. If you suffer from anxiety disorder, you've got like a baseline level of anxiety, say like a 2 or a 3, maybe a 4. I mean, I guess it depends on, it's different for everybody. If you don't suffer from anxiety, then your baseline is going to be 0. I mean, yes, you might still have times of anxiety. I think that's relatively normal for everybody. But for people with an anxiety disorder, your baseline is constantly like a 2 or a 3. So being put on this medication, I kind of expected, number one, for this baseline to be taken down to a 0. And secondly, for these what I call acute anxiety moments, like things that just might trigger me into like a serious sense of anxiety, dread, panic. I expected those things to be like those instances to be eliminated completely. Well, neither one of these things happened, and I had tried several different types of SSRIs. I didn't feel like my baseline level of anxiety was down. I didn't feel like my ability to cope with anxious situations was improved, and I was still getting these like acute anxiety experiences to where, really nothing worked. I mean, you can't just pop your SSRI, your Zoloft, your Paxil, whatever, when this happens and be like, okay, I feel better. There are medications out there that you can take for that, but they're a little bit difficult to get your hands on because, they can be quite addictive or misused. Now, these SSRIs also came with a lot of unpleasant side effects. So it was kind of for me like, it wasn't doing anything. I had side effects. Why am I on them? At the same time, my doctor that I was seeing one time sent me to a psychiatrist, albeit not for my anxiety. So I had one psychiatrist appointment. I was given a diagnosis separate from my anxiety, which I will probably discuss in another video, but not this one. And that was really it. Never saw the psychiatrist again. I complained to my doctor and she said, oh no, that was just the one appointment. That's all you get. I asked her repeatedly, can you send me to a therapist, a mental health professional, a counselor, a psychologist, anybody? I don't care. Just someone who is equipped to help me deal with these feelings of anxiety. And her response was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was more or less along the lines of, get outside, take a walk, get some fresh air, smile, and you'll be fine. Yeah, I'm not seeing that doctor anymore. But I kind of feel if you are a medical professional watching this and any one of your patients complains to you that they are experiencing really bad anxiety, taking a walk and smiling is not a solution. It is not. So please understand that. So for many years of my life, I have gone with effectively untreated anxiety and other mental health issues. I could cope well enough. Occasionally, I would get these like acute anxiety attacks. And what I mean by that is they would just, again, I have a baseline level of anxiety of like 2 or 3, but every once in a while something will happen, or I might get an overwhelming feeling of dread where it's like my whole body kind of goes into this anxiety, like flight or fight situation, and I can't eliminate it. A few things that I have tried on my own, I have tried exercise. Well, my heart rate's already up, my breathing's already shallow. I'm trying to work out, and what all that's doing is further increasing my heart rate and causing my breathing to become more shallow. So, okay, we got rid of that after the second time I almost passed out. Take a hot bath, take a nice, hot, relaxing bath. Well, again, heart rate is already up. I go jump in a hot tub, and that just gets your heart rate going. So, eliminated that again after the second time I almost passed out. I have tried just taking a nice little walk, taking my dog for a walk. The issue that I experience, and this is probably very unique to me, I don't know if there are other people out here who have this problem. If there are, please let me know. But I almost feel like it is the opposite of claustrophobia. Like if I'm in this really bad attack situation, I go outside, I almost feel like the world is like just kind of like expanding, like to a terrifying degree, and I need to turn around and go back in the house. Like it's terrifying. So that doesn't work. And again, I have not had any sort of mental health care with a mental health professional to where I can work on other coping skills, or okay, maybe this didn't work, but how can we try to make it so it does work? Maybe I did something wrong. It's kind of like, in my opinion, if you've got, you're giving a medication to take for any medical issue, you can take it, but are you taking the right dose? Are you taking the right frequency? If you're not kind of given those, like, take it now, do it like this, is it gonna work or is it not gonna work? So that's kind of how I feel about like these coping mechanisms, where I feel like I need a little bit more guidance. Some things, sure, I can try on my own. Other things, I think I just need a little bit more guidance from a professional to, help me through that. So I finally noticed, like, I tried to ignore my anxiety as much as I could, with the exception of those issues. But I want to say over the last 2 years, it started getting really, really bad to where I noticed that I was having anxiety a lot more frequently, and it was a lot more serious. It wasn't just like a couple of hours of a bad anxiety attack. It was like days of bad anxiety, to the point that I would like cry and cry and cry and cry. I started noticing that it was affecting my life a lot more. Like, not so much affecting my life, but things in my life were exacerbating my anxiety, things that previously really didn't affect my anxiety. So that kind of brings me to a couple of months ago, to where I realized, like, I can't even function anymore. I cannot go to work anymore. Work is literally, it's like a dark cloud hanging over my head. Again, that's for another video again, but it was really making an already bad situation 10 times worse. So I have taken some time off to kind of work on my mental health. For the past couple of months, I still have not really had any treatment. I have switched doctors and am now seeing one who is a mental health advocate, and she has referred me to a mental health professional. The problem is, where I live, that could take a year, 2 years to get in. We have switched up my medication, no more SSRIs. I am also taking a medication, like a fast acting medication for those like acute attacks. And I am now going to start seeing a counselor out of my own pocket, because I can't sit here anymore and try to fix it myself like I have for the last 20-30 years. If I haven't been able to do it in the last 20-30 years, I'm certainly not going to be able to do it in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. I am at the point where you know, I need a mental health professional. Like if I was physically sick, I would need a doctor. I am mentally sick, I need a mental health professional to, you know, get inside my brain and make me better, not so sick. So that's really the gist of, as best as I can explain my struggle with anxiety thus far. I mean, there's definitely like more ins and outs of things, but to make things short and sweet, that's kind of how it started, how it's built, and kind of where I am left as of now. So yeah, I hope that kind of explains things. And of course, there's a lot more that I want to talk about and a lot more videos that I want to get more in depth with things. But for now, I just kind of wanted to get my story out there a little bit and explain a little bit of who I am and my experience with anxiety. If you have experience with anxiety and you want to share kind of some of your experiences or how it affects you, please feel free to leave me a comment. And of course, if you want to continue to see these videos, please do not forget to subscribe. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.